Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I'm Ben, and I'm joined by Brian, and we are here to break down episode 8 of
Sounds
Survivor
right.
43. I
The
think.
title will have the right episode regardless, but yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds right.
this is about the time of the season where I forget what episode we're on. Even if
Yeah.
I check it 10 minutes before, I'll forget by the time we record.
The
Um,
middle merge really blends together very hard.
yeah, no, and this is the end of what I would consider a 3-episode suffering arc for Janine. Finally put out of her misery here.
So you want to go
Um,
on Survivor, do you?
Yeah.
'Cause,
Uh,
it might go like this, which looked horrible.
yeah. The chin bruise or harm that she received day one was just about finished healing right as she got voted out.
Brutal.
So classic situation there. But I guess
She made the
before we
jury.
get true, unlike Dwight and Ellie, her two friends
Her
and allies
friends,
who
yeah.
got blindsided right before her.
The people she might
Um,
enjoy spending time with at Ponderosa. No, all by
now
herself.
she's there by herself. Yep. Real shit experience. I mean, look, what's your opinion on this? Because we'll get into the details in this episode, but for me, I stand by. I think Ellie and Janine lost the game on day 2, and they didn't really do anything to undo that ever.
I think that's totally fair. I mean, Sammy, for all his faults, his big move-itis, but then, too scared to actually do anything about it. He did do a good job in syncing their games while on Yellow Tribe, and now continuing to sync their games on the merged tribes. So, it's too bad. Obviously, the elephant in the room of the season is there's just a lot of guys left and not very many girls left. Very crazy how it shook out. Don't know if this, well, I guess they filmed the next season back to back. They probably didn't adjust, but I wonder if this, at least for a while, will put the 3-tribe format on ice. Or if Jeff doesn't care. He might not care. He might be like, this is the best season ever. This is great. This is what I want.
I mean, here's the thing, right? The logic that you're kind of laying out, which I agree with, is smaller tribes means less room to mess around with voting out somebody who could be or voting out somebody who would be good in challenges when somebody else is a potential liability in challenges. And early on in tribal format, people tend to associate women with people who are liabilities in challenge because good in challenges is associated with physical strength, which is associated with masculine traits, even though 80% of Survivor challenges come down to puzzles in the end, and the physical
Right.
portion doesn't even matter. And so the most useful skill to have on your tribe is somebody who's good at puzzles.
Yep.
So that's kind of not really super logical. But yeah, that's kind of where we sit, where 3 tribes means those tribes are more likely to prioritize keeping stronger players around.
mean,
But
we even
I don't know if
saw
the
it this
producers are
season,
making those
right?
calculus. Yeah.
Yeah, where I think all 3 tribes at some point, the women were like, we need to stick together. And then they just didn't do it.
Yep.
And so I was just like, well, I mean, that sucks. And now they're, I mean, Carla, Cassidy, Cassidy's been pretty purple in fairness, but Carla could win. Maybe, I think. I don't know about Noelle. I don't think she's been getting too much of a winner's edit. She's in a pretty precarious spot. And then, like I said, Cassidy's been very purpled this season. So Carla is really the only hope. And I think it's unfortunate because the super fan community, the community that we're a part of, and more than likely than not, the people who would be listening to this podcast, they don't want to see a bunch of dudes roll to the end. And I mean, I don't either, quite frankly, but it seems to be what we're getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you know, we just see it. way too many times. It's just like it's not an interesting story, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why 42, or one of the reasons why 42 is like has been lauded
Mm-hmm.
as like kind of a good season in a sea of like kind of mediocre to bad seasons in recent years. Is because like Marianne's storyline is super unique and like it's not really something that we've super seen before
Mm-hmm.
on Survivor. Like that level of a kind of underdog story where somebody comes out at the end and is like takes control and like snatches the victory from the jaws of defeat. Like that's not really something that Survivor uh, has as a story very
Mm-hmm.
often, just because of the way that the format works. So I think coming off of the heels of 42, it definitely stings a lot more as well that we're getting. Um, we have a final 10 where 7 of the final 10 are men, and um, you know, it's looking like probably Noel could be in the crossfires coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just you know I agree that of the 3 women, Carla really is the only one that I could see winning. Even of the 3 underdogs at this point, like the 3 people on the outs, Owen would be the one that I would say has like a sliver of a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't think that Noel or Gabler can win. But even so, I don't really think that Owen is going to win either. So yeah, we have a pagonging happening. Like even though like the episodes could arguably have interesting moments in them, the votes have been relatively straightforward, and we have like this 7 that we were basically blue balls this whole episode as like, oh, Sammy's gonna make a move is gonna happen. Sammy's not an idiot. He knows that he's the bottom, but like a move didn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't even get Janine like trying to play a shot in the dark, for instance, because that's something we've
Yeah.
talked about as well. That none of the people voted out have tried to play a shot in the dark really.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Sammy, like you said, you gotta recognize your position, and he does. He just doesn't act on it at all. He even if he had made a move and lost, I still feel like that would have been better for his reputation within the fan community, and then probably better for his game. I don't see Sammy winning from the position he's in. Like, say it gets down to the 7, I don't
Mm.
necessarily see a path to victory for Sammy. So this is really, I mean, it's not the only moment, but this is really one of the moments where it's getting down to it. Where it's like, Sammy, are you going to? And we talk about this a lot, right, Ben? Are you gonna grab the game, in your hands, or are you gonna let it slip through your fingers and then regret it when you go home? And it feels like this is that moment for Sammy, and we saw him, fumble it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I'm not like fully sold on that though. Like I would like 80% agree with that maybe because like I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
think he probably has a path within the 7. Because I don't think that people are looking at him as the most clear threat. I think there was a target that was almost put on Ryan in this episode.
Mhm.
I think James is somebody who's going to be seen as like a potential jury threat based off of what we've been told headed down the
Right.
stretch. Like I definitely think there are outs for Sammy to win like a final 3 against like Cassidy and Cody or like Cassidy and Ryan maybe. Like
Mm.
I definitely think there are ways for him to win, and I think that like maybe even like somebody like Gabler after like I think if Owen and Noel go out boom boom, then a move at 8 might happen, or even a move at 9 could happen, and Gabler could be dragged down to the end as a goat. Like that's something that I could see happening. So I don't think that I don't think Sammy's totally dead in the water, but this was definitely a missed opportunity.
Yeah, of course we'll have to see. Who's not missing his opportunities?
Jesse Lopez.
Jesse Lopez. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Ben, I didn't see this coming, obviously, because the show didn't show us this, so there's no
Yeah.
way we could have predicted. Although, imagine if someone did be like, "Yeah, I have a feeling Jesse stole Janine's idol." This was pretty wild. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in an era where we constantly talk about like keeping advantages and idols to yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
especially when we do have a knowledge power advantage in the game in
Mm-hmm.
James's possession, uh, we now get this kind of reveal
Mm-hmm.
that Jesse convinced Dwight to give him Janine's idol in secret right before tribal council, and then voted him out as the only person to know. So now he's literally the only one in the game to know that Janine's idol is in his pocket and not flushed out of the game like everybody else thinks it is.
And this is just huge in this current era of like, it's not as much as 41 and 42 where like if you had an idol, it was out in the open 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knew. But it's almost as bad with the beads thing
Yeah.
being out in the open. And now, truly, Jesse's sitting here with an idol in like an unconventional way of obtaining it, but a conventional way of having one where, the information is only his and it's all up to him. And he made a confessional where he said that he gets it. He gets how it works. The knowledge is power, and the idol's way more powerful right now when you keep it to yourself. So, I mean, you talked about it before on the show, and then before we were recording this episode in particular, Jesse has to be the odds-on favorite to win, right?
Yeah, I mean, he also reconfirms in that confessional that Cody also trusted him with Cody's idol for the similar reason of like wanting to, make sure that the bamboozling of the knowledge power was happening. So Cody has like two other people's idols in his possession right now, one of which nobody knows about and is like firmly his now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Modern
very
day James Clements here with
yeah.
two idols.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully he has a better
Yeah.
outcome to idols than James did. But yeah, I it just feels I I feel like he would have to majorly screw up, like a
Yes.
James level screw up to not win the game at this point, or at least make like Final Four, Final Five. Like it just doesn't. Like I think that like maybe he could get voted out at Final or not. I guess he can't get voted out at Final Four, but you could potentially get voted out at Final Five if he has to burn the idols, and he could potentially get put into the fire making challenge at Final Four and then lose, right? But like other than that, I just don't see him going out anytime soon. He's in this majority alliance that seems way too strong for Modern Survivor season. Like Modern Survivor seasons historically do not have majority alliances lasting as long as this one has.
Right.
He's insulated within that alliance. He has Cody as a very clear and firm number one who's like blindly loyal to him. He seems to have like one of the better relationships with Carla, despite the fact that they haven't spent a ton of time together. And he has two idols, one of which nobody knows about, and the other which only Cody knows about. So like, I don't know. It feels completely. It feels like he has maybe 50% of the win equity. I would say at this point. Like I would say right now, for me it's like Jesse versus the field. Or in my mind, that's like who's winning this game. Like it's a coin flip.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, so Ben, immunity challenge. What do you think of this twist on a pretty old challenge?
I was a little confused by the rules because of what who is that? Ryan who ends up Ryan ends up using his head as like a third hand. I don't know.
I didn't think that was gonna be cool either, but Jeff let it fly and then kind of mocked him when Ryan fell out of the challenge. But yeah, I thought the whole point was like you had to just use your hands, but
Yeah,
I guess
I don't
not.
know. I don't really care.
Yeah, that's true.
It was just kind of confusing. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was interesting. I guess the only like super interesting thing that happened was like the majority alliance trying to like cajole
Get
Owen
Owen.
into sitting out when he's like very obviously the target. He's like, oh yeah, you'll be safe, Owen. You'll be safe. Please sit
He's
out.
like, he's like, my last name might be Knight, but I wasn't born last night. I'm not
Yeah.
sitting out of this challenge.
You know, luckily for him, he did because he ends up going on to win and probably save himself because otherwise it probably would have been him.
Yep. So I think we're both like pretty big fans of Owen. I think we both, feel a kindred spirit to him as the big super fan. So I was happy to see Owen stay in there. I want him to stay as long as he can. Though things do look not great for him.
Yeah, no, I mean he's definitely like the most prominent face of the underdog
Hmm.
like kind of group. And he had like some good confessionals and storytelling about his backstory that kind of really
Yeah.
solidified that. Hopefully, unlike Janine, it'll actually pay off in some way because
Hmm.
we also got like a multi-episode arc of them trying to set Janine up as this underdog who is like gonna right her wrongs and figure it out, and only to be knocked down again
I
and
know.
again, over and over again. And we're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, what was the point? What was the point of making me care about Janine?
Yeah. That was tough. What do you think of Owen pulling out the old school Kobe Donaldson? Sure, huge challenge threat, of course, set the record. But he also said Wigglesworth, which first challenge beast ever.
Hmm.
Gotta appreciate that. Who's the other one? Terry Dietz. He said also very prominent. Record holding one. So yeah, I mean, another reason why I like Owen because he appreciates the classics. He's read the
Hmm.
literature, as it were.
Yeah, I think he's a true Survivor historian. Yeah.
Love it. So that was
Hmm.
very fun. And I think, like he said, as big fans of the show, like you and I, like people like us have had that fantasy, like, oh, if I went on Survivor and then I won immunity and Jeff Probst is like putting the necklace on me, right? Like everyone's had that, like, oh, how would that feel? And he got it.
No, 100%, especially in like a position where you need it as
Hmm.
well. Like I'm sure that feels extra good,
Definitely.
uh, where you're like it's kind of do or die, and like really do or die, and not like the Survivor twist do or die.
Which, yeah, we're hoping that's dead. We'll see. I didn't know if the rights thing was going to make a comeback, but Jeff was funny with it. With I'm not negotiating this time. You're gonna take it
Yeah.
or leave it, and then the price of rights goes up tomorrow uh, if you don't. So
Yeah, Jeff said it's Godfather arc.
he really is.
Yeah.
Love it. He got off in Boston Rock College. He was like, I think you're being too soft on him.
Hmm.
You gotta make him take your deal. But yeah, I don't know. I just loved how like I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but just how firm Jeff was about this.
Yeah, you could see like it was James who did it. Like, you could see like the smile kind of fade from his.
Yeah.
He's like time to make a deal, Jeff.
Yep.
I've seen the last two seasons, and Jeff's like, no,
No.
take it or leave it.
Oh man, love it. That's why he's the best.
Yep.
Oh man. But yeah, after the immunity challenge, it really was like, okay, maybe something like fun and interesting will happen. Maybe Sammy will do it. And then I thought like, oh, there is a path here. Cassidy doesn't want to vote another woman out. Like Cassidy seems open.
Hmm.
He would have had the numbers, right? If Sammy and
Yeah.
Cassidy both flipped. So I was like,
Hmm.
this could happen. They could vote James out. And then, no, I was wrong.
Or vote Ryan out.
Vote Ryan out. Yes. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that too. So
Yeah.
why Ryan? Why,
Well.
why? I like, okay, put aside that he's feeding you. That is good. But like, not only is he feeding you and like really embracing the old school nature of
Hmm.
Survivor from like being a provider, but he's also embracing the old school nature of Survivor where people wouldn't play the game, which was
Hmm.
very interesting. So I don't know why it came back on Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because like he's socially isolated himself from that
Mm-hmm.
majority, and Sammy is like, let me whittle down somebody from this majority to make it safer for me, because like maybe I can maneuver if it's six, but with seven, I really don't have the space.
Mm-hmm.
And the easiest kind of piece to take off the board that like was gonna be an easy sell to the rest of the alliance would be Ryan. Like that's the only way I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Because the other three in Old Coco were like relatively close, and Ryan was kind of the one in the outs of that
Mm.
kind of crew. And then like you're not gonna convince Jesse and Cody to like turn on each other,
Yeah.
so like that kind of just leaves Ryan.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I just thought it was like it made it so it's like, hey, well, one, everyone has this perception of Janine as like big strategic mastermind, which I don't think has necessarily been something that's been shown on the
No.
show. But like, okay, let's just go with that line of logic.
Well, let's be
Here's
clear here. The people that she's being compared to in that regard are Gabler and Noel. So
okay.
like,
That's okay. Yeah, that's a little more fair.
it's kind of
But
a
yeah,
low bar.
let's follow that. Like, okay, she's the strategic, driving force of the minority alliance. Like, if I'm in the seven, it's like, okay, I don't want her around then. And Ryan isn't even playing the game.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't care if Ryan's here. Like, it doesn't bother me. And I know it's Modern Survivor, although it is like postmodern Survivor with the shortened days and no rice. Ryan is bringing fish in. So, like,
Mhm.
one, he's not an obstacle against me because he's not playing the game. And two, he's feeding me. So, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to, like, be like, yeah, this is such a great target.
So I guess if I'm Sammy, because like Sammy is the one who pushed the name, like that's kind of where we have to look from the perspective of.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm looking at this kind of the way the tribe is set up here. Um, he probably sees his path as uh, trying to weaken original Coco in as easily as the way as possible, and then maybe uh, allowing Janine, Noel, and Owen to get voted out, and then trying to do a move at seven with him, Jesse, Cody, and Gabler, and that's kind of like a two pairs kind of thing if he's with
Mm-hmm.
Gabler, and taking that to a final four. At that point, Gabler's been really good in these challenges. If Gabler wins, he'll probably save Sammy in that fire making.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Sammy's in the final three with Gabler and potentially Cody. That's probably a pretty winning combination for him.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe that's the path he's looking at. I think that's
Yeah.
probably one of his better paths, honestly, to win the game at this point. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like a reasonable. Like obviously that wasn't explained on the show. That could be just me projecting my
Mm-hmm.
thoughts onto what it's Sammy's doing and like trying to rationalize some strategy. But like that's kind of the path that I would expect him to take after voting out Ryan.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I mean, it's definitely like the best explanation that's out
Yeah.
there. I feel like because I do feel like a lot of people were very frustrated by Sammy not making a move here,
Hmm.
and I've seen a lot of people being like, "This season is awful. I hate it." I don't hate this season. It hasn't been great post merge,
Hmm.
but I do think there's still time for stuff to happen. I don't. I just can't see the seven straight up begonging. Maybe they will, but like, what a waste that would be, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it's not Pagong down to seven or even eight. Like I hope that something flips in the next episode or two. Um, but yeah, I kind of agree at this point that a lot of the wind has kind of been taken out of the sails,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I agree that the season's not bad, but it's not like good either. I would
Mm-hmm.
say it's just kind of it's kind of it's just kind of there,
Yeah,
and
the
like
end game will determine
yeah,
very much
like
how it goes.
definitely, I was very impressed with what Jesse was able to pull off with getting that idol.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like a really sick move, and I think like if he continues to make those kind of moves, and like even if like worst case scenario we end up getting like a coronation edit for Jesse for the rest of the season, I do think that like he could be interesting in what he does to get there. And I think that's definitely worst case scenario from a
Mm-hmm.
story perspective. So I don't know. I think there's still upside, but
Yeah.
definitely was kind of zoning out at multiple times in the last episode because there wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really a lot of intrigue going on, and I didn't really buy into the whole flip that wasn't a flip.
Mm-hmm.
There were too many people. Like when you have multiple scenes of people saying this is a bad idea, like we're not gonna, like you really need to have something solid for it to
Mm-hmm.
be sold as a thing for the TV edit. Like there were way too many people being like no, no thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. I know we kind of sped through it, but I don't have much else to add. I don't know if you do.
No, I kind of expected this one to be a short one. I feel like there
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a ton to go through really. Like the bulk of the strategy that happened didn't pay off.
Mm-hmm.
The like storyline for Janine was like kind of a underdog story that never went anywhere and then fizzled out.
Mhm.
The only like really notable thing to talk about was Jesse with the idol, but like that's kind of like a good job,
Yeah,
very cool, Jesse,
nice.
and nothing really else to say about that. Like, good,
Mhm.
well done. It was a really cool TV moment, and it was a really awesome move.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think that it's just kind of a quiet episode.
Yeah. So normally, I can't recall if 41 was like this, but normally this time of year we'll have like next week will be a normal episode and then probably like a longer 2 hour boot episode or two boot episode before Thanksgiving. That's how it's usually been going. So
Hmm.
we're kind of getting down to it. We're getting close to the end here, even though
Yeah,
there's still a lot of people. But
little over a month before the finale, right?
yeah,
Like a month and change here. So yeah, definitely, definitely getting close here.
and
Yeah,
then we got
it's
Big
been
Brother
fun.
Canada. And if you're a international Survivor fan, you immediately have Australian Survivor
Hmm.
starting in January. So good time for reality TV. Well, we're obviously in the golden age of it, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, look, I never in a million years thought the mole was going to get rebooted in the
Mm.
U.S. So
And you
I re
loved that, right?
love it,
Yeah.
love it. I mean,
So
look, the season I think was like, it wasn't phenomenal, but it was above average, and
maybe
it like,
I haven't gotten spoiled, so maybe I can do a binge, and then when we're done with Survivor, we can do a one-off mole podcast, and hopefully that'll
mhm.
come back. Also, is a new season of The Circle coming? I feel like it is. I feel like it's about time.
It might. I only got
Yeah,
halfway through the last season, and I forgot to go back and finish watching it. So maybe I'll go back and finish watching it at some point.
yeah.
Um, yeah, the whole like Spice Girls twist, like I don't know, I really hated it.
Oh man. Ben, anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Twitter at Ben
Well, we
Sharing.
have it, right?
Yeah,
While it
well,
exists.
it's it's been a fun train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of train wrecks.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Twitch streamer, but the but like the concept.
Yeah.
Um, just no shot at train, but like I'm a big fan of the concept of things ending in train wrecks and just like
Mm-hmm.
watching them happen, and like sipping my tea as the world falls apart.
Yeah.
And Twitter falling apart right now is obviously thousands of people have been laid off, which is awful.
Yeah.
But
Terrible.
like from in the grand scheme of things, if we're looking at like train wrecks that happen in the world, a social media platform collapsing under its own you know idiocy is like one of the less harmful train wrecks that you can
Mm-hmm.
view as a as a piece of entertainment, I guess.
One of the nice things, maybe though, the thing that could unintentionally save it is if it does become a segmented Twitter for only verified people, and then the rest of us who are unverified just only seeing each other's tweets. That could be fun if we get two parallel Twitters. The haves and the have not, the Survivor Fiji of social media.
Well, I mean, like half of Twitter that I'm seeing right now on my timeline is people sharing screenshots of like parody accounts
Yep.
from people who like buy verifications on their parody accounts to make them look real.
Yeah, I had Twitter Blue for our We Could Get Everything Twitter account for a little while because I was like, oh, I'll upload our videos. And I was like, this is kind of dumb. But I'm happy that I canceled it before the verification thing because I don't want to. That's tacky. I don't want to have a paid verification check mark.
Yeah, I mean it's like I don't know. It's kind of needy. It gives a needy, you know.
Mm. And especially when you can click into it and it's like, this person paid for it. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
so embarrassing. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I
Unless
mean, like,
it's also very funny when like Ludwig got labeled as paying for it instead of being notable.
yeah.
Oh man. But
Um,
I don't want it to go, Ben. I love Twitter.
yeah, I mean, I tweeted, I think like a month or two ago, I was like, this is my 10-year anniversary on Twitter. It just goes to show how long somebody can get stuck in an abusive relationship.
Bad. I made my Twitter account in 2007, so I'm right there with you. I'm
Hmm.
a glutton for
Yeah.
abuse.
Yeah, you're more OG than me. I mean, I had to be kind of coerced into it. 2012 was when I made mine. Um, 'Cause like I remember like people like telling me to make one in like '09, 2010, 2011. But I held off. I stayed strong for a few years. So
I just happened to be watching Attack of the Show like a little bit after Twitter launched, and they were like, "So this new social media, is it good?" And they were like, "No," and I was like, "Awesome! I'm making one."
I remember.
And no one was on it. I didn't know anyone. There were no like real celebrities. It was terrible, but I persevered.
I remember there was like I don't know if it was like an AT&T commercial or something like that. There was like some like mobile carrier commercial or something or like internet services commercial where it like listed all of the number of internet actions that happened every minute or whatever, and it was like, you know, 100 million emails sent a day or whatever, and it was like 10,000 tweets a second. I was like, what the fuck's a tweet?
But yeah, what is this? This is
Yeah.
bizarre. Oh man. Well, at least we'll be able to say that we were there. We were, you know. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
I
Whatever
was just,
generation comes after the Zoomers, it'll be like MySpace,
oh,
and the
yeah.
Zoomers and the Millennials will be able to tell the.
Although we were probably
Yeah.
both there for MySpace too, so I don't know where that. We're just
I don't
like
think
the
Zoomer. I don't think
just
Zoomers were. I think Zoomer. I
no
think it was a little
Zoomers
before.
were.
It.
It was
Yeah.
like us, like our age of millennials were just like the perfect time to like catch all these weird social media sites,
Yeah.
and now be
Yeah.
very out of place on TikTok because we're too old.
Yeah. I mean, I lost my TikTok password, and then my account was like so old that it didn't have an email verification. So I have literally no way of logging in, and I've tried to recover my account before, and I was unsuccessful. So I don't want a new TikTok account because I liked my old handle. It was like my name because I have my name on basically all of my social media.
Yeah.
So really annoying. The one upside to having like an uncommon last name, I can't even take advantage of it because TikTok's verification is stupid.
I feel like too, the biggest loss of Twitter will be actually being able to harass companies into helping you with your issues.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be gone. And that is a fabric of our society at this
Yeah.
point because they will not help you unless you shame them on Twitter.
I 100% like that's also been my experience. Even Twitter itself. I had gotten locked out of my Twitter account at one point. Yeah, I had Brian harass Twitter on Twitter,
And it
and my
works.
my account was back within the hour, and I had been off. I had been like locked out of my account for days, and one message from Brian trying to harass the Twitter account. Within the hour, my account was fixed.
Nobody wants a PR disaster on Twitter.
Yeah.
And companies will go out of their way to avoid it. I helped my parents get their like cell phone thing all figured out by harassing an AT&T Twitter account, and then sliding into the DMs and getting it all figured out. So that is honestly like the Library of Alexandria burning down, but for complaining to customer service.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, no, I've seen it on the other side too. With working with complaints, that it's definitely the ones on Twitter are prioritized.
Yeah.
It's not just like a feeling that people have. It's real. Like the complaints on Twitter are prioritized. So.
Elon, killing us. Oh well, we certainly ranted and raved. Is there anything other than your Twitter you want to promote? Sorry,
Yeah, I only use
jumped in
Twitter and
there.
Reddit at this point, and like nobody should go on my Reddit.
No. So yeah, you can follow me on Twitter for now at the fake BMAR. That's BMARR. Not verified, and it won't be. Actually, I'm not paying for Twitter Blue, so. Anything else? Yeah, you can follow the channel on Twitter at Wicked Good Everything, or actually at WG Everything. Instagram, Wicked Good Everything. Twitch at twitch.tv/Wicked Good Everything. And on TikTok, search Wicked Good Everything. I also cover sports on the Wicked Good Sports channel and Wicked Good Sports on all social media. Yeah, other than that, thanks so much for watching.